Hi, this is Matt Kushi. For those of you who know me, you know that one of my prior jobs that I've worked in is as a land surveyor. This short video is just to give a little introduction to certain parts of land surveying. If you know me well, you know that I've been having a little bit of a survey issue with some of my family's land and property lines. My uncle is looking to sell some of his land that's next door to my folks. So I've been reintroduced to some parts of land surveying by default through this. So this video is just going to be a short video on reconnaissance, the first step in land surveying. So what reconnaissance does is that it establishes what you are looking for. Before an instrument is set up, before a rod man walks around and marks points that he's going to shoot, you have to know what you're going to shoot. So usually you start by finding property pins, important monuments, looking at the topography of the land. In the case of my uncle's property line, what we did was we wanted to put stakes on the property line so that we had a pure definition of what that property boundary looked like. So to do that, we had to find the property corner from the road, which we did using a metal detector, and we had to find the final pin on the property, or the second to final pin. There's two final pins in this case. So what we did was we found the front pin, and then we found the second to last pin, which is just down the hill here. And then from that point we measured a straight line, and then we measured from a known stationary position where the point on line was. Now usually when you're shooting point on line, you're using a total station, you're doing the pure survey setup, and you're coordinating two different lines on a certain axis and getting an exact spot. When you're using a tape measure, you're still using an exact spot. In this case, what happened was a point was measured from the corner of our garage, which is a stationary point on the line, and measured to another point on the line to an exact hundredth. That told us where to put a stake in to define the property line. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is showing you what that line looks like, what the stakes look like, what the pins look like, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom of the hill because the final property pin is down a hill that goes to a piece of farmland, and I will find that property pin and mark it. So in this case, what I'm going to be doing is walking around with a few different things. I'm going to be walking around with a machete. In land surveying, you have two known points that you have to have in order to conduct a survey. Sometimes, if you're in a rural wooded area, there's trees, branches, whatever in the way. So what you need to do is make a cut line. This is usually done with a machete. Now, it might be cool to walk around with a machete, but it's part of the trade for land surveyors. So, just to give a little history of this land, originally this parcel was a 13-acre parcel from road to river, and it was bought in 1925 by a Polish farmer named Joseph Kushi, my great-grandfather. Over the years, this land has been divided up. The bottom land, the farmland, now belongs to someone else, even though I still rent an acre of it for my own farming uses, and the top lots have been divided. I'll show you a map in a second that shows how the top lots have been divided. So if we go over to the map here, you're going to see a plot of 4 lots. This is the top lots of our family land. Let me just get stable here. So this is River Drive, right here. Let me zoom out. So this is my Uncle Land's lot. This belongs to someone else. This is my folks' lot. This is my grandmother's lot. And this is the field down below the hill. So the property line we're looking for runs from here to here. Now you're going to see it says south 55 degrees, 47 to 57 east. So the direction of survey is from the bottom of the hill up between two iron pipes. It's not a straight line, slightly parallel. So this means it's south 55 degrees, 47 minutes, 57 seconds. Now you might be wondering where minutes and seconds come in. In each degree, picture a clock. In that clock, there's 60 minutes. Between each minute, there's 60 seconds, right? So pointing in an easterly direction, we're looking at the 55th degree, 47 minutes within that 47 degrees and minutes, and 57 seconds within that 47th minute. So land surveying is extremely exact. So our point on line, we found this pin, or actually we're going to be finding this pin. We found this pin. We have 2 points on line here, and there is a pin here that was found. So I'll be doing some reconnaissance to find this pin here. So with that, let's get started. So some of the work for this survey has already been done. What we did was we found our property corners, as you can see by the stick here. So you'll notice flagging in the ground and on the stick. This is where the property corner is, a piece of rebar that we found with a metal detector. If you look up, you're going to see other sticks. This is the property line. So usually when you're surveying, you set up your total station, you enter your coordinates into the data collector, and it gives you something called point on line. What that does is it's an intersection of two lines on a certain axis, and that intersection is the exact property line. For this, we use the tape measure off a fixed point, the corner of our garage over here. So this is the property line going down. We marked the stakes at exact points. This is my uncle's lot to my left. And our property is to the right. So as you can see, I'm walking in a pretty straight line here. This is a pretty straight property line. And this is our backyard. So one thing to note is that we did 4 points on line. 2 of them are indicated by a permanent marker, like a piece of rebar in the ground for a property corner, or an iron pipe. The last iron pipe that we located is this guy right here. Now this is not the property corner. This is a property corner in that it is a point on the line of the property boundary, but it's more of a property corner for the right-of-way that we have going on our property down this way. So what you'll notice is that the stick is a little to the right of the pin. If you look close, this pin is bent a little. So if this thing were straightened up, it'd be about 3 to 6 inches this way, more in line with the stake. Now the true property line lies at the base of this hill. As you can see, there's a big farm field down below. And that is part of what used to be part of the original Kushi farm. So the real property line is down this way. Don't mind the peppers. For those of you who know me as a pepper farmer, peppers that don't make it to market and start rotting usually end up somewhere on the hill. So the property pin is somewhere down there, and we got to find it. I'm not sure I want to go climbing down the vertical face of this hill, so we got to find another way to get there. Okay, since we are not going to be going down the hill to find this pin, we have to find another way down there. Fortunately, our property has a right-of-way that goes down the hill, and that can be seen here. So I've got my machete with me, because we're going to need to probably cut a cut line to get over to here. So if we go down this right-of-way, we will be able to circle back and find that pin. So as you can see, this right-of-way is a little bit in rough shape. It's got a tree we need to cut up that fell. Now this right-of-way was created in the 1960s to get to the field down below, just beyond this tree line. And you'll have to excuse my shakiness. I'm holding the camera with my left hand so that I can cut with my right. So this was an access road down to the 9-acre field down below us, which is now, if you look over here, 8 acres of asparagus, and there's a little 1-acre cutout in there that I rent for peppers, squash, pumpkins, etc. So we continue down this right-of-way, which used to be a lot clearer. I mean, when I was a kid, it was pretty clear, and then teenage years, it got pretty grown up, and every year we've tried to rehab this a little bit. As you can probably see, it's pretty wet down here. We've had a lot of rain lately, so we've got some puddles down here. So I've got to watch my step, make sure I don't go slip slide down the hill. We've got some wind today, so hopefully the wind isn't affecting the volume here too much. Hopefully there's not too much wind whistle. So if you look over here, you're going to see like a little road coming down. This is the original farm right-of-way that existed probably in the 1800s and during the original Kushi farm days. This was rerouted to what we have here in order to make room for my grandmother's house and to make it so that the right-of-way didn't go right by the house. So as we go down this right-of-way, we're traversing kind of diagonal across the back end of my folks' lot. And you can probably see a little opening right here. This is the bottom of the right-of-way. So as we get to the bottom of the right-of-way, there's one thing I want to direct your attention to. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. But you should be able to see my folks' property pin somewhere in here with my grandmother. And I see a little bit of pink flagging over here. So I'm just going to walk over this way. Okay, see this property pin? This is the property corner with my grandmother's lot. This is the property corner really with 3 different lots. On this end is my grandmother's. On this end is my folks. And this here in front goes to the field up here. So now some interesting history about this field, which you can't really see much of at the moment. This field used to run all the way up to the edge of this hill. And as you can probably see, there's some barbed wire and posts here. This used to be asparagus and tobacco right up until the brow of the hill here. When my great-grandfather sold it, it became a pasture. Now when he sold it, he intended the property line to follow the contours of the hill. The land surveyor at the time in the 50s did not do that. As you will notice from this property pin here, it is kind of up the hill a little. That's because the surveyor went in a straight line, which from what I hear, made my great-grandfather pretty pissed off. So anyways, going back, we want to go back all the way across the lot basically to find the property pin we're looking for. So I'm going to get out of this part, get back onto the main right-of-way. Now we're at the bottom of the right-of-way. You're going to see 2 paths. One to the left and one to the right. The one to the right is the one that was more part of the original right-of-way probably, that we carved out, helped maintain. However, if you look straight ahead, and I don't know if you can see it through the tree line, there's a beehive right there. And I learned the hard way that honeybees do in fact sting just as well as a yellow jacket. So there was a little natural path opening to the left that we maintained as well, and that's the direction we're going in. Now you can probably see a low-hanging tree here that fell down, so that's why we don't really bring the tractor down here yet. And because of all the rain, there's a pretty good sized puddle here that we have to go through, unfortunately. So I'm just going to traverse through here. It's about top of my shoe top deep. So what we have to do is basically go across the hill till we find the property pin. I don't know if you can see it up there, the sun's shining pretty bright. There's a little copse of greenery that's just to the front of where the property line is. So that's about where we have to go. In land surveying, this is the fun part about recon before you actually do the survey. It's a lot of exploring like you're a little kid. Unfortunately, if you're in a rural wooded area, you sometimes run into stuff like this. As you can see, this is pretty heavily wooded. So I'm probably going to need to make a cut line if I were doing a real survey where we were setting up probably out in the field over here. We would be doing a lot of cut lines to make sure that the 2 points could be seen between each other. So I'm going to pick a path and just start trying to walk over to that area. So we'll start going up the hill a little here. You're going to probably see some debris from the years that was accidentally blown down the hill. So you're going to see some cut lines. I apologize if the camera shakes a little. The one thing I hate more than anything are prickers. And there always seems to be abundance of them, especially in scrub brush. And some of the stuff doesn't cut too easily, and you have to make sure it doesn't bounce back at you in the face. Gotta make sure you watch your step. If you hear me groan in pain every once in a while, it's because I just got a pricker in me. Now this is a pretty good area with prickers. This is why the machete comes in handy, because it can do a lot of good work for you. You just gotta be careful with it. Make sure you don't cut your own finger off or something. Okay, I've made a little bit of an opening. Let's see if I can get through here. Looks to be a little clearer up front. When you're walking in a wooded area, it's also important to make sure that you watch where you're stepping. You're on uneven ground a lot. So there's the copse of green. So there should be property pins somewhere around here. We're kind of up the hill a little, so let's see if anything's around here. So I probably want to go just a little further. Now I know I'm probably close because off to my right here is the post with the barbed wire fence for the pasture. And you know what? I think I found him. Okay. So you are going to see here 2 pipes, which is what this calls for. I'm not sure which is the real property corner. But this looks like a... it's not a standard iron pipe, but it's more like a piece of rebar. And this is like a post of some sort. So, these would be the property corners with my uncle that we were looking for. Down the hill. So I'm going to see if I can set this camera somewhere where you can see what I'm doing. Because what I'm hoping, yep, you can see that. I've got some flagging here. Land surveyor flagging. What I'm going to do is tie some of this on. So what you do is you just unwind this, take it off, and to mark a point that you want to shoot or mark a corner, you tie it on. Leave a little tail, and now you've got a marked property line. So with that, we'll head back up the hill.